Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square, and joining me is Wisconsin correspondent Benjamin Yount. Ben, let's talk a little bit about something that's really kind of sad, and not kind of sad, but extremely sad and very, very tragic, and that is what is happening in the St. Croix County Police Department.
Yeah, this has been a rough start to the year for law enforcers here in Wisconsin. Last weekend, a St. Croix County deputy, a 29-year-old woman by the name of Kaite Leising, was shot down during a drunk driving stop. She came upon a man who'd crashed his car into a ditch, and she was talking to him, getting ready to administer the tests, as all drunk driving stops do. And at some point, he turned around, pulled out a gun, and shot her. She was rushed to the hospital, but died a short time after that. Other officers went into the woods and searched for this man. They say they found him just before he shot himself and killed himself. Leising is the fourth law enforcer in the state of Wisconsin to be killed this year, all of them shot. She's the third up in northwestern Wisconsin. There were two from Barron County. And to give you a sense of the map, if you drive straight east out of Minneapolis, out of the Twin Cities, you'll cross over the Apple River and you will be in St. Croix County. It is the first place in Wisconsin that you come to when you leave the Twin Cities. It is essentially a suburb of Minnesota, but it is a very rural area. And it is right next door to Barron County, where back in April, 2 officers were shot and killed during a traffic stop with a wanted man there. This is the deadliest year for police officers in the state of Wisconsin in 2 decades. St. Croix County's sheriff spoke about this earlier in the week, and you could hear frustration when he talked about the loss of yet another person on the job.
Wisconsin right now has the highest law enforcement officers killed in the last 20 years. We're in May. What does our future hold?
Deputy Leising will be laid to rest Friday. There will be a full police memorial after a public visitation. She leaves behind a wife and a 3-month-old son. And this is something that police officers across the state have said for a long time that they are very concerned about, the dangers of the job. And to have 3 within 2 months, and 4 within the first 5 months of the year. It is one of those stories that, and you and I have written news for a long time, it's one of those stories that reminds you this isn't just words on a piece of paper. This isn't just rolling through another 2-car crash on a Friday night, or they've got zoofari at the zoo. This is one of these stories that makes you stop and say, wow, 4 law enforcers killed in Wisconsin, and we're not even through mid-May yet.
I have a friend who, whenever I tend to get emotional in discussing such topics, he said, well, what would you do? What is a course of action that could have prevented this from happening or will prevent it from happening in the future? Do legislators have any concept? I mean, there's some type of money that they could put forth towards some program that would protect more officers in the field?
Each one of the suspects in these shootings that left an officer dead was a wanted man who had a gun. In the case of Deputy Leising, he's a convicted rapist who has a long criminal history and was released out of prison in Minnesota back in 2019. He was on parole at the time. There's nothing that you can do outside of perhaps enforce the laws that ban felons from having guns more stringently. These people were already banned from buying guns. These people already shouldn't have committed the crimes. These people already shouldn't have done what they did to put themselves in contact with police. So a new law, you're right, isn't going to do that. But you have a conversation in both Wisconsin and Minnesota, where the suspect who police say killed Deputy Leising was from, about keeping people in jail or prison, making people serve their full sentence, and holding people who are violent criminals accountable. The man who shot and killed the 2 Barron County officers, He was wanted. He was known to be angry, threatened, told his family that he would kill the police if they ever called the police. The young man who was shot and killed after he shot and killed a Milwaukee police officer back in February, he was wanted. He was in court on a burglary charge, or maybe it was an armed robbery charge, literally the day before he shot and killed the officer. And so if you're looking for a legislative solution, the only avenue would be keeping people who are dangerous, keeping people who have proven criminal records in jail or prison longer. But that's a whole other conversation, because if you're going to keep people for the maximum amount of time, you'd better be prepared to spend the maximum amount of money and build the maximum amount of prisons. And then you're no longer just talking about safety and concern for law enforcers. You're talking about something completely different.
Highly, highly complicated, and I thank you for simplifying it for the likes of myself. Listeners can keep up with the story and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for The Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.